It's hard to do it all. And I think there's this pressure on women to be able to do it all nowadays. You got to work full time and then be there full time for the kids and then, be perfect this and perfect that and perfect. I don't know what. There's so many labels. My spirituality practice and meditation and working with some of my cousins make fun of me, but I'm like, it works. Okay. Leave me my shamans and healers. Took a long time to get to this point where I'm like
Yes, a lot of healing.
celebrating all the stuff he taught me because I mean, I went through really dark times, depression. And the first year I was like, I didn't even leave my house. I was like a hermit. It was awful. I just worked and went home and just like in severe depression.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me on the third episode of the Alaverdyan podcast. Today's guest was Diana Madison. I'm sure you guys know who she is. And if you don't, you are missing out because she's a very interesting woman, full of energy. She actually had so much grace, and we talked about personal things, personal life experiences that she's had, struggles that she's experienced from the death of her fathers and dealing with grief. It was really interesting to see a powerful woman like that has gone through struggles and overcame struggles. Because we don't see that often. So I'm very happy that she was very vulnerable in the episodes. You guys are going to be so interested in this conversation. Of course, we talked about the beauty industry too, but it was really interesting to see how sometimes women tend to come off really powerful, but on the inside, they're really soft and vulnerable. So I really wanted her to relate to you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. So we were in the middle of the conversation of Diana, how busy she is, and how do you manage your time? And you were saying how it's about just time management.
I'm very organized.
An organization.
I am going to brag about this. I am one of the most organized human beings with my time.
I love that.
I am on time, maybe even early always. I'm never late. I know some people thrive on being late. If it's work related, I'm on time. If it's not work related, I'm probably late.
It's a family event.
Yeah, it's an RB thing to be an hour late. But no, if it's work related, I'm either on time, 5 minutes early. I have OCD with time. My every hour is booked. I know what I'm doing for the whole week. I know what I'm doing on the weekends. I like to pick up my kids and drop them off. I love doing the morning runs and drop offs. And if I can't do it like today because I'm doing something special, I have a great partner, my husband. He'll like step in and help out. I have a great mom and mother-in-law who step in. So it takes a village to raise kids.
Yes,
and
it does.
Takes a village to build like brands and have a career. So I am very fortunate to have a great team around me.
I love that. And Diana, I want to add to that because, being in family private practice, I talk to a lot of moms that struggle with that. They look at amazing, beautiful influencers and they start comparing themselves.
Right.
Like, I want to know what Diana's doing. She looks flawless in her videos.
Right.
I want to know what so-and-so is doing. Or they'll ask me, like, how do you manage to keep your house clean and look flawless? Like, what advice would you give moms? Because there's a lot that look up to you.
I don't always look like this. And
but they think you do.
I don't
swear.
always look like this. Lately, I've been posting a lot of like my like life behind the scenes and like it's really funny. I make fun of it. And you see, it's like I'm not looking the best and I'm like cleaning after my kids and my house isn't always perfect. I try to make it be, but it's hard. It's hard to do it all. And I think there's this pressure on women to be able to do it all nowadays. You got to work full time and then be there full time for the kids and then, be perfect this and perfect that and perfect. I don't know what. There's so many labels. It gets really overwhelming. And I actually, I got really sick end of December. I went on a trip with my kids and they just wanted me to ski with them. And I don't ski. They love to ski. My husband loves to ski. I hate to ski. All they wanted me to do is ski. I got really sick. So for 1 week, I was in bed while every day they were skiing without me. And I just said to myself, like, the body needs a break. Like my mom called me. She's like, you work too much and this is all you and you aren't taking any breaks. And if you follow my mom, she's like serious when it comes to that. She was like yelling at me. Body needs breaks. You got to take breaks. And I have this like ideology where I don't pay attention to what other people are doing. I don't like to know, when people are like, look at your competitors or look at other people doing the same thing as you and be inspired by them. Like, I don't do that. I am so laser focused. I don't pay attention to what other people are doing. Sometimes I get excited because I'll like wear something and then they'll be like, this is the hottest trend. I'm like, oh, I picked this out because I just wanted to wear it. And now it's a trend. I'm like, I love it. Like I hate to see what other people are doing just because I think it's just so hard. You're constantly comparing yourself to others. And
Yes.
I come from an
Yes.
industry in Hollywood where I'm just never good enough. There's always someone more famous than me. There's always someone more like prettier than me. There's always someone more with more something getting the job. So whether when I was doing hosting and whether now I'm doing acting, there's always someone better. So I try to just like keep focused on what I'm doing.
How did you take that on, like learning to just focus on yourself? Because it's hard for a lot of women. It's
Yeah.
such a competitive world. It's just, I feel like there's just so much toxicity in the
See, I
in the
don't see
feminine
it.
world.
I don't see it. I don't see any of that. I get support. I see love. And I like to surround myself with like-minded people. So for me, I don't see any toxicity. For me, I just see like a lot of love and
You see
support.
the positive side.
I'm around it. I've
Yeah.
created my own reality, I create like my own happiness. I'm like, if you don't really like if you really know this side, if you're really close to me and know me, you know that like I'm very spiritual. Like I have a daily practice of meditation in the
I love
morning.
that.
I don't start my day without praying. That's the first thing I do. I wake up, I pray. I don't
Wow.
pick up my phone. I wake up and I pray. And then I do a meditation that I do every morning. And without this meditation, I cannot start my day. And I have to block out time before my kids wake up. And
Mm.
sometimes it happens where I oversleep and I have to rush my kids to school. I come back home and do my meditation. I cannot start my day without my meditation, and I end my day with a meditation.
I love that.
So without my meditation, and to be honest, today's gonna be such a long day. I've already done a big shoot. I came here. Before I came here, I stopped at home. I did my meditation. I had to because I won't be able to be grounded and be able to focus on you, and I'll be on edge. And
True.
after here, I have to rush to another event. I might have to do another meditation. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 20. The meditation I did before I came here was 5 minutes, but I had to do it. And it's like a practice of mine that I have to do daily. And I have like rituals I do. I do this ritual at night. It's a tea ceremony where I make Armenian tea. And I like will touch the tea, I'll feel the heat, and I'll think about the person who made the cup, person who like farmed the tea, and I'll give
Mindfulness,
yeah, and I
right?
give gratitude to those people. And then each sip I take of the tea, I start thinking about all the amazing things that happened in my day, and I give gratitude to God. I feel like when you're aligned with with a higher source, whatever you want to call it, God, universe, whatever you believe in. I don't judge anybody on anything, but for me, I'm very connected to the source. So for me, I'm like, I don't know, my life is pretty. I don't deal
I
with
love that.
toxicity, and if there is like, just you gotta like
Work through it. Yeah.
you
I mean,
gotta like, here's how you deal with toxicity. And if it happens, like I dealt with something this morning, I had to address the situation, address it, don't let it linger,
yes, I
address the
agree.
situation, and then move forward, solve it and move forward.
How are you with confrontation, like confronting somebody who's hurting you, someone
Hmm.
who's in the moment, not,
I
but
haven't really been great with confrontation. I'm like the worst person to ask, but I'm learning as I get older that the best thing to do is just to address things and move forward.
correct. I
So
agree.
much easier when you address, you
Mm,
forgive, you send love, and you move forward.
absolutely. It makes the relationship a lot healthier
Yeah,
when
because
you're
if you
into that.
keep like, there's this whole thing about building blocks. If you keep avoiding the situation, the blocks keep building, and then there's a
Yes.
lot of resentment, and it's
Oof.
heavy, and then the blocks are somehow this huge like wall, and you're like, shit, how do we get here? So you gotta
Yeah.
like address situations, and sometimes you just gotta like forgive and walk through. And sometimes, I have had situations. I was telling my girlfriend this yesterday. Sometimes you can't like have a confrontation. You can't tell the person how you feel. I write an email to that person, but I
Hmm.
never send it to them. So I let my emotions and
Yeah.
heart out, and I just put it. This is a lot with like industry people. If I don't get a job, or if I, feel like I got hurt by someone in the industry, I will like sit there and write them a letter and never send it.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
very like it's very healing.
It is. You let it out instead of having it
Hmm.
build. Has there ever been moments in your life where you do have like that resentment and it was hard to cope with?
Hmm. Trying to think.
Has anyone
My
hurt you like
personality
that?
is I move forward.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
like
you do. You're
to
very easygoing, and your
I just
mood
move
is just
forward.
yeah. It
I've
sounds
just
like
been always like that, and I think it comes from, like, my upbringing, like, my family is just like, "We just move forward. We gotta go. We gotta go. We
is your
got."
mom like that?
My mom is like that. We got things to do. Like, we can't sit here and think. I'm not that type of person that sits and thinks about the past. I am just like, "I gotta move forward."
How do you not? I know there's a lot of people who are curious about it. How
Right.
do you move forward from pain and hurt and
Look,
resentment?
like, I've dealt with, like, such a situation in my life where, like, 10 years ago, my dad dropped dead in front of me. Like, I couldn't save him. So for me, like, for 10 years, I've worked with, shamans and healers and psychics and therapists and, like, to be able to, like, heal from that trauma and to be able to say that sentence to you without breaking down. So for me, everything else is like a piece of cake. I've
Right?
dealt with life and death. Like, I've seen my dad die in front of me. So I mean, what's like some guy honking at me on the street? Like, move on.
How do you
He's
overcome
probably having
such
a bad
difficulty?
day. Like,
100%.
sending
Yeah.
him love. I
Yeah.
gotta move on. I got places to go.
Absolutely. I think it teaches you a lot of empathy and sympathy for others. But how was that for you? Just moving on from that. It's
I mean, it's something that I struggle with till this day. I haven't really
really.
like moved or like healed from it. I just like
Do
I
you
do
really
better
heal
with
from
it.
that, right? You
I don't
question
think you
yourself,
ever really heal
real.
from it, but I
Absolutely.
think like, you get to different phases of like mourning. And I think I'm at a phase where I could celebrate his life and celebrate all the things he taught me. It took 10 years to get here. The first year was like rough. And God, when I look back, I was like such a different person. But like sometimes I feel like, did he have to like, die and sacrifice his life for me to like find enlightenment, for me to get to this place where I'm like so spiritually like evolved? So I don't share this side too much on Instagram. It's just my personal thing. But if
It's
you ask
understandable.
me, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I do daily practices of meditation, mindfulness. I journal daily. It's just what I do to be able to cope with all the things that are being thrown at me. And there's like, so much stress you deal with, so much. And in this day and age, it's so hard to raise kids. It's so hard to build a brand. It's so hard to like be in Hollywood. And that's how I deal with it.
Yeah.
But I don't look back. It's just not my personality. I'm just always like, let's move forward. Let's go.
Moving
Let's go.
forward.
We got things to do.
Absolutely. What are some things that your dad had taught you that you
Well,
remember till today?
it's so funny because when I started as when I graduated UC Santa Barbara, I was working for KYT News, ABC in Santa Barbara. I got a job working for Entertainment Tonight, but the only job they would give me was a 3 a.m. shift, and I worked the news desk. So, he was following me to work every day at 3 a.m. to make sure I walked through the gates of Paramount Studios in one piece without any, any drama. At 3 a.m., that street gower is so different than when you see it in the afternoon. There's a lot that goes down. That's just
Absolutely.
crazy. But it's, just craziness. So he would drive me to work every day. And, here's the funny thing is like, my dad worked so much. Like, I almost feel like I didn't really know him that well because he just was working. Like, he was an immigrant, came to America in the late 70s, slept on people's kitchen floors with my grandma. And, I'm just so grateful that like they were able to give me this life because I wouldn't be able to do these things if I,
Right.
didn't have my amazing parents who like sacrificed so much to come here and start a new life and give me an amazing like upbringing. And my dad was a hard worker. He was an entrepreneur. He started being a valet and then building his own like company. And so he just taught me to really work hard. And he was like my biggest cheerleader and fan. So I mean, I learned from my parents is like you want something, you just got to work hard. There's no other way to
Yes.
go. So
Resiliency and working hard, like grit, literally
got to
grit.
get there and get dirty.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
like funny because people like expect because I'm at a certain place in my career not to do stuff, but like if I need to roll up my hands and get dirty, I roll up my hands and
I
get
think
dirty.
that's what I love about you.
Yeah.
And you do totally give that vibe. You're like a hustler.
You just got to do it. I like hear people complain and then they don't do the work and then they want things and it's this entitlement. Like, I don't even have time to think about it. I'm like, all right, what are we doing? How are we doing this? Let's go. Let's go. We got places to go. That's my whole thing. We got places to go.
Things to do, people to see.
No time to lose.
Absolutely. Do you think that trauma changes a person's perspective?
Yes, of course.
How did yours change
Well,
yours?
I think I went from like a very superficial lifestyle, and then my dad died, and I went from like that to, like understanding what's the purpose of life, what's the purpose of all this, like what's this all about? And I think like through the last 10 years, I've like evolved on my spiritual journey. And even I believe it was like in 2020 with the pandemic that I did more work with like, what is my purpose? So now my purpose in my life, it has to be aligned with this. And if it's not aligned, then I just won't be doing it. It is to amplify voices that have no platform. So if it's my documentary that I'm doing with Lionsgate right now, which I'm amplifying the voices of these two Armenian brothers who were wrongfully accused, went to jail, were given 500 years. I'm giving them an opportunity to like be able to amplify their voice. I'm a producer on it. If I'm acting, like I take on the role of like amplifying a community, amplifying diversity, amplifying female empowerment. When it comes to the beauty products, like I'm amplifying these amazing ingredients that our ancestors used for hundreds of years and bringing it to the modern market. It helps people feel good and heals their skin. So if it's not
Yes.
aligned with that purpose of like female empowerment, making women feel good and diversity, like it's not a part of my agenda.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. It's all about positivity and moving forward.
But I found my purpose not in the hustle and bustle. I found my purpose during that pandemic when I had like quiet time in nature. I did this meditation in Sedona, and it came to me like, this is your purpose from this point on. Whatever I've done, it brought me to here. But from here and going forward, that's my purpose. Yeah.
I love that. I think a lot of people have such a hard time finding meaning and purpose in their life.
It's hard because they're on social media, they're comparing,
Distractions.
there's all these distractions. I have like a lot of like, one thing I have to say I'm very proud of myself is like I know how to put limits. I have limits on how much I'm on social media. I have limits on how much I do this and do that. Like I don't like to get distracted.
Do you protect your daughter from that as well?
My daughter, it's funny because my kids want to do their own YouTube channel, and I did that for so long, and I'm just kind of like, it's crazy that like now YouTube is cool. When I started, nobody even knew what it was. People were like, what are you doing again? So it's wild. Like I monitor everything my kids do. I'm a helicopter mom. But also, my kids are very like knowledgeable, and they're very like empathic towards like the world. Like they're just, I don't know. I don't know. My kids are like, if they were to be on, I don't think I would allow them to be on social media. They've done a couple of YouTube videos for fun. They want to do it more often, but I just don't have the time. I like to just like push their creativity how they want. So if they want to do a cooking video for YouTube, sure. We went to Disneyland. They wanted to like show that on a video. I'm like, sure, we'll do it. But I want them to be kids. I'm very
Yes.
big on that, where I want them to be kids.
How do you manage that? Because it's so hard nowadays to allow kids to be kids.
I manage it by just, having limitations on the iPad and like what they can watch and what they can't watch. They know there's certain things they can't watch at home. I like them to read. They read a lot. They're into art. My kids are really into art and theater. And so my daughter's in theater and my son's in sports, but my son's really into like the arts too. So, yesterday we went to Target. We bought a bunch of Valentine's Day stuff. They were making
love
arts and
that.
crafts for their friends instead of watching TV. Like, yeah, I try to
Yes.
limit and control everything they watch and do. Sometimes like it happens, like it slips, but most of the time we're very aware of what our kids are doing.
I love that. Have you taught them to pray? Is that
Yes,
something
we
in the
pray
family
every night.
dynamic?
We pray every night, and we pray in Armenian. And yesterday I was very proud of my daughter because she was praying like with the words. She did it from the beginning to the end in Armenian. My son is like struggling, but and I want them to learn Armenian. Like that's a big priority of mine.
Do you incorporate like Armenian culture in your family dynamic like a lot, or is it just like a mix? Like it's okay. Because your mom's like, I mean, you speak well too. I've heard you
Yeah.
speak Armenian, but
Yeah.
your mom's very
So my
like,
husband's half Armenian.
mm-hmm.
He's not full, but he's actually more Armenian than I am, I would say. So
Really?
he's very like, he's on top of it when it comes to like instilling them with like the Armenian culture and values. My mom too. I think we're like, it's funny because we speak English in the house. We try to speak Armenian. It's just hard. That's
Yes.
it's easier for me. Even my mom would speak English to me growing up because my parents came like late 70s. They,
Yeah.
So I try to incorporate as much as I can. They just learned how to do whatchamacallit, Rapamon with their Armenian tutor. And they were like, can we do a YouTube video making Rapamon? I'm like, sure, we could do that. But like, yeah, they are very proud to be Armenian at their school they go to. They proudly talk about it. They teach their friends Armenian. They're very proud.
So what are some of the things that you've learned from your mom?
Oh my God, so much.
Like she's a very powerful individual, and I can see like her vibe. She's very like,
she's into Aries.
Yeah.
If you know anything about the Aries zodiac, like she's tough. My mom's tough.
Yes, she is. I mean, going through that type of trauma, and I mean, do you have any siblings?
I have a younger brother who's actually running for office. So vote for
What?
him.
Really?
Yeah, and I think it's this area, Burbank. Here,
What's his name?
I'll read it to you right now. Give you a second. Let me go on his page. Manuel Macpopian. So my original last name before I changed it is Macpopian. He's a candidate for the 44th Assembly District. So I think this is a district. It's Burbank. So yeah, Manuel Macpopian. Please vote for him. 44th Assembly District. Yes. He's the smart one in the family. I'm just like,
what do you mean?
I just show up, but he's a smart one in the family. So vote for my brother, please.
I love that.
And ever since we were kids, my brother was like, I want to be a politician.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where did he get that from?
He just loved
because I
it.
think people like children have to be exposed to that.
I don't know, because I
Right?
remember when we were kids, he like had this Lego thing where he made like the White House.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
he's been, or like it was like, yeah, the White House. Like he always wanted to be a politician. He's a lawyer, but right now it's his first time and like he's running, and I'm excited for him.
I know.
He's
That's
he's
super
younger than
exciting.
me, but he's a lot smarter than me.
Well, we know his name now. So.
Yeah, Manuel Macpopian, vote for him.
How proud is your mom of you guys?
Oh, she's really
Like
proud.
her
But
children are so successful.
Like for us, we grew up in a house where, I mean, it's not even a question. Like you go out there and you do it. Whatever it is we want. We go out there and you do it. It's not even a question. It's no doubts. Like you just go out and do it.
Diana, do you feel that, in a lot of households, feeling is not an option? When I hear people say like, you have to go, you have to be a go-getter, like you just move forward, was feeling something that was incorporated in your family system? Like sometimes in families, it's like, you don't have time to cry. You don't have time
Well, it's funny. I was like crying to my mom the other day, like not really, but kind of, but not really, but yes, kind of crying. I was like, Mom, it's like so hard to sell this project. And she's like, well, if it was easy in Hollywood, everybody would be doing it. Like you go out there, I have projects that I'm taking out. So, in like film. So I was like, and she was like, if it was easy, everybody would be in Hollywood.
Right.
And she, so she will tell me these things, and she's like, get out there and you could do it. And
oh my gosh, she's a cheerleader.
She's a great cheerleader.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you feel?
But I like to surround myself with like-minded people. So everybody in my tribe is a cheerleader. Like
that. Well,
we all cheer each other.
Yeah.
We all cheer each other on.
Absolutely, you have to. There is this philosophy that I love, but I just literally forgot what it was. It was right on the tip of my tongue, and then I forgot.
Oh, okay.
I hate it when that happens.
It'll come.
Oh yes, I remember now. It's the relationship that you have with your mother sets the relationship you're gonna have with other women. Do you believe in that?
Yeah, it's funny because I have like with my mom, we argue, we hug, we love, we kiss, we argue.
I know, me and my mom too.
So yeah, I think it's like
constant.
you have to have healthy boundaries to disagree and argue. I mean, you don't want to surround yourself with people who would just say yes to you.
Yeah.
Because if I do something where it's not like good, I want people to tell me in my inner circle that I trust that like, hey, I don't think this is like, think about it. And maybe I might not like what they're saying, and I'll probably give them this look, but I'll think about it.
Yeah.
And then it'll just sit in, and I surround myself with people that are cheerleaders, but also very honest with me. And some of my friends in my inner circle I've known since I was 3.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
that's powerful.
And my
And you're still
industry,
friends with them.
still friends. And my
That's
industry inner
loyalty.
circle, I've been friends for like 15 years, 20 years.
What makes
People like, it's funny because people see me friends with people who are like well known, and I'm like, we've been friends for 20 years before all the success and
this.
fame, and like I've just known so many people that I've been, you know, friends with for so long. So it's like loyalty is it's a big deal.
What do you think?
Relationships.
I agree. Loyalty number one.
Hence why I'm on your show, because we had a relationship.
Yes. And we showed each other loyalty and
Yeah.
trust and respect.
You have
Absolutely.
to create a safe environment.
Yeah, you can't just randomly go to everyone's podcast.
Well, it's like
And take
relationships
credit.
matter, and also there has to be a safe environment,
Yeah.
right? So
Absolutely. Your image, safety, all of that, it matters. What do you think is the most important thing to make a relationship work with friends, with female friends? Well, husbands, it's different. There's different
Yeah.
technique, but like with friends, because there's so many fallouts that I'm just always going by what I see.
Yes, I think I'm at such a great place in my life that everybody in my inner circle is very protective over me. And at the same time, they're very honest with me. And at the same time, we're all each other's cheerleaders. And yeah, most of the people in my inner circle, and I am very social and I have a lot of friends, but my inner circle is very tight and strong. And I've been friends with them for so long. I think the best thing I would say is find like-minded people, because sometimes you could like evolve from friendships and grow apart, and it's okay. But I think like find yourself like-minded people who are going to be excited for your wins, and when you win and you talk about it, it's not bragging because they're, you know.
What is an insecurity that you have that you're
Ooh.
still working on today?
It's probably my insecurity in Hollywood, just because it's always something that like, you know, makes me lose on acting jobs. But it's like, she's not famous enough. I always get that. Like I lost a big hosting
What does that
show.
mean? What do they mean by that?
So it's like it happens. Like I lost like a movie recently because the person who got it was more famous than me. And so it's like I lost like I had created a TV show and I couldn't even host it because they were like, well, she's not famous enough. We need to go with someone more famous. So I want to come to that place where I don't have to deal with she's not famous enough. Yeah, it's something I really deal with.
Is that hurtful?
Yeah, because it's not based on talent. It's based on like, what you could bring to the table because of who you are. Sometimes, most of the time, those projects fail because, like I just feel like when you're talented and you're right for the project and like it's just the excitement, the energy, it's different. You're bound to have success. But if you just hire someone because they're someone's kid and their mom and dad might come to the premiere because they're famous, and sometimes those movies don't do well.
Tell me, what are some of your plans? What's next? Like, what are we waiting for? Because we're all watching you religiously.
Thank
So
you.
I am, at least. So I want to know.
Oh, thank you so much.
No.
Well, right now, the Diana Madison beauty brand is taken off and it's so
By the
nice.
way, congratulations
you.
on Neiman Marcus. There's Bloomingdale's.
Yeah.
And you just hit New York.
Yeah, we're our first store in stores in New York, and it's nice because people would message they want to go and test out the products in New York, and we didn't have any
Yeah.
locations, so this is our first location in New York. We're at Revolve, we're at Neiman Marcus,
I love
we're
Revolve.
at Macy's and Bloomingdale's in LA. You can find it at Century City Mall, Macy's, Beverly Center, Glendale. Yeah, it's been awesome. I think we sold out of Macy's, Glendale, and Beverly Center. So I think we're like moving to next steps with the brand and what we're going to do with Macy's. Revolve has been amazing to work with. They were the first people to pick up my brand off of one product. But
They're pretty big.
They're
They're
big. But
amazing.
for many years I was doing influencer work with them, and I would do it for free. I would just show up to
Yeah.
their events.
You built a
and-
relationship with them.
Right. So when I launched that first product, they came to me. So everything is about, it's funny because people are like, why is your brand blown up? I don't get it. And I
What do
don't
you
know
mean
how
they
to,
don't get it?
I don't know how to explain to them that like
The
my
work that goes
relationships-
into it?
Yeah, my relationships for 20 years are now coming to play with the brand.
Yeah.
Like Bloomingdale's, I went to launch Diana Madison Beauty at San Francisco Neiman Marcus. So when I did that launch, someone kept messaging me, Lauren Magbu. I'm like, Lauren Magbu. She's like messaging me on Instagram and on my phone. And I'm like, oh, Lauren, I know Lauren from 20 years ago. Lauren's like, I'm in San Francisco. I work for Bloomingdale's. You need to be in Bloomingdale's. And that's how I got into Bloomingdale's. It's wild. So, for 20 years, I've built like such a great, amazing foundation of friends.
That's why you never burn a bridge.
Yeah. You have to be very open.
You have to be careful and kind.
Listen, sometimes it's like people don't want the best from you. And like I say, stay away from them. But for the most part, I've been really, really lucky. I've been really lucky. But also it's like what you put out there, it comes back to you. And you got to get out of that victim mentality.
Yeah.
Some of the people who
that chair is an ugly chair to be in.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that.
I got to be honest. Some people who didn't like help me out in certain stuff in Hollywood are now coming back, helping me out in different ways. So it's like you got to always leave, the door open and not take everything so personal and know it's just business. Right now I have a documentary I'm doing with Lionsgate, which is so exciting. It's a crime.
I'm very
true
excited.
Crime,
yeah.
True crime.
That's
and
a
also
big deal.
A documentary about Artsakh war. My goal with that, why I decided to do that, and we have a crew there, we're filming. My goal is I want my kids, because I don't talk to my kids now about the war. I just think they're too young.
Developmentally, yeah. You gotta be safe
for my 8-year-old and 6-year-old to know that there's a group of people out there who hate my guts and want me dead. So it's like I don't need to talk about that with my kids.
Yeah.
But I'm very patriotic, and I want to make sure when my kids get older that they know in their lifetime that this war happened. We lost this land that was ours for thousands of years, our ancestral lands, and like the crisis that happened, what people went through, the stories, the accounts. It's crazy. And we didn't get much media coverage on it. There's not much on the internet on it. And whatever, and the other side gets to twist the stories, and they have different agendas and political outreach, and they have the money to finance their agendas and their story. So for me, as a storyteller, because if you ask me what I am, I'm a storyteller. My goal with this documentary is so when my kids get older, they have an account of what happened. And I also, with the team I'm working with an amazing team. We want to like push this in Congress. We want to push it out there, like to start our own lobbying of like what went down. Like these people lost their ancestral home. It's not right.
Yeah.
So, and then I have 2 movies that I'm working on that I'm writing and will be producing and acting as well. But yeah, it's been an insane. Last year was one of the craziest years of my life. I launched the brand in so many retailers. I got an award at Cannes Film Festival for Rising Star.
Saw.
And
were you nervous? I wonder, like accepting an award, that's a big deal.
I was kind of like, I got to be honest, like it was just a confirmation for me that I'm on the right track.
You are.
And I'm aligned with my purpose, because I'm going to be honest. For so many years, I struggled with like so much rejection that like, that I know, and my husband knows, and my mom knows, and people close to me know, my close friends know. So for me, like, I just felt like, oh, I'm aligned with my purpose. Like when you're aligned with your purpose, doors open. It is the most fascinating thing, because I have tried to do like so many other things and projects like with entertainment. And it's like when you're not aligned.
I relate to you.
When you're not aligned, it's just no matter what you do, it's not gonna work.
I agree. Like I'm just reaching out, and I get such wonderful yeses. And I had a friend over last time. He's like, how are you getting all these guests? I'm like, I'm just asking. And I agree with you. When you're just naturally aligned, like your vibrations are where they need to be.
Yeah.
When your vibrations are up here, it just everything flows naturally.
Right.
And I'll tell you, it's not only me. Praying helps.
Yeah.
Like God helps.
Yeah.
And you're right. It whatever you believe in, if it's the divine, whatever it is, faith is everything.
Yeah. You got to have faith.
I have faith.
Flow right now. Like in my life, I'm flowing like, I got this. Like, it's going to happen. I don't know how, but it's going to happen.
I don't know how, exactly.
I don't know how, but it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. You feel it and you manifest it.
Yeah. I create my own reality. And most people have to understand that they create their own problems. They create their own situations. Yeah. And if something happens where it's like life hits you in the head, like I mentioned to you, like my dad, passing, I didn't create that situation, but like I have to like learn how to react to situations that I have no control over. That's the
Yeah,
hardest part.
I agree. Look, I'll say something to that. There's the movie, and I always mention this. Like, I think I even talked about it with the Roxia in our first episode. There's the movie, and there's the hero, and there's the villain. They both have the same life story. It's not very different. They both come from a very traumatic life story.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you choose. You want to be the villain or you want to
Right.
be the hero. You have that choice. Trauma could make you into a nasty, bitter, jealous person, or you could be such a loving, open person, learn from that, and spread love.
So I see the world so different where I'm just like, the villain is my teacher. Like the villain has put in front of me to teach me a lesson.
Yes.
So if
Yes.
I learned a lesson, at some point I have love for the villain, it's hard to get there. It's easier said than done to be like,
Yes,
I
it's
love
hard
you.
to-
You ruined my life.
Yes, and build resentment and bitterness.
Right.
Absolutely.
But when you get to that place where you just like send them love because
Yeah.
you've realized there was a lesson you had to learn to get to where you're supposed to get to, it's such a beautiful moment.
Oof, yeah.
It's such a beautiful moment. And it's like you drop like 100 pounds of like stress and anxiety
And
and
hate.
anger and hate. Like,
Yeah.
so like for me, like I no longer resent people in situations. I always be like, what's the lesson I'm supposed to learn here? I'm
That's
supposed
not
to learn a
wisdom.
lesson.
I don't know what is.
But it's taken a long time to get here. Like I'm not sitting here being like, I am so
No,
smart
but it's
and I'm a
wisdom,
guru
and that's
a
the.
It's taken me a long time to get here, I turned
Mm-hmm.
40 last year. So it's like it's taken me a long time to get here. You don't get this like wisdom at age 21. You don't get
No.
like it's
Life
through the
is- it
hard
teaches
knocks
you.
of life. You
I
get this
agree.
wisdom. So I actually I don't know. Maybe I live in La La Land, but I'm like, okay, spreading love. There's something I need to learn here. Something
Yeah.
I have to learn here. When you learn, you evolve and you get to the next step of your life.
Yeah, and you become such a better person too for the world, for your
Right.
family,
Mm-hmm.
pleasant person to be around.
Right.
Right?
Behind every setback is like this comeback, like Oprah says that, and I really believe it because every time in my career I've had a setback, there was a lesson I had to learn. It propelled me to higher levels. Do you know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
I do. That's deep,
So
Diana.
I think differently. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like a unicorn. I really,
But it's you. And that's what makes you you.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you Diana
and it
Madison.
just, and honestly, it's like, I think it's like, again, upbringing, my family, my mom and dad were very like, they were very like liberal. I went and moved out to UC Santa Barbara when I was in college. They
Mhm.
were very supportive of my unorthodox career of being in Hollywood, right? So I just had like great upbringing to be focused and just, never like really like my parents always taught me like to not hurt others, like just to focus on yourself. If someone's down, you give a hand. So that was like things that I learned growing up, and I want to like pass it on to my kids. And with my kids, I do things differently than my parents did. Like every morning, I tell my kids how beautiful and smart they are.
I love that.
I do it every morning.
Do you
every
use my
day.
affirmation cards?
I love your affirmation
I
cards.
sent them
They're
to
so
you. I
cute.
know you
yes, my
posted
kids.
about
Yes, my kids loved it. But
So
you have
meaningful.
to.
Yes.
You have to.
Those little things matter, and they built.
My kids
They
have
both.
such high confidence, and it's because like every day I fill them with like like this morning I'm like, Colette, you're so beautiful. Like I can't handle how beautiful you are. Or like my son will like he'll do artwork, and even if it's not nice, I'll be like, this is the greatest artwork I've ever seen. You
Yes.
got to
You
tell them
validate them.
how
Absolutely.
amazing they are. Like maybe it's a little bit too much. I don't know what's gonna happen when they get older, but if they lose a game, I'm like, good job. Like we're all winners, So I don't know where that's gonna go, but for now it's working.
It's your style, and it works for your kids. That's
Yeah.
all that matters.
It works for us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So wait, what's your goals with this podcast?
Oh my goodness. I have so many, but I want to take this to where I just interview and I give a platform for people to talk, because originally the idea was, I know that people are so business oriented and they're killing it and they're fabulous, but I know everybody has this other side.
Right.
And I want to reach that side because it's the more relatable side. I mean, look at you, what you're discussing about like your dad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty meaningful. I mean, there's a lot of people who have lost their dads
Yeah.
and are lost and they don't know what to do with their traumas. I mean, I work with a lot of them. And so it's meaningful for them to hear somebody that's
It's funny because it's like, I just believe that like, this isn't it. If you really believe that, if someone's lost someone, like, I just don't feel that like, this is where things end. I feel like I feel like my dad's with me all the time. I feel like I could talk to him. He hears me. Maybe he can't like speak to me, but I know he hears me. I feel his presence, and I feel like he guides me if I need answers, like it shows up, you know? So I don't feel like this is it. I don't know. I just think differently.
You know, Sadhguru, he says that when a person passes away, it is a sin to use their death to make you miserable.
Yeah, I always tell people when I die, like wear purple, wear colorful, have a DJ.
Wear yellow with aqua blue
Like
earrings.
I need it to be a party. Like I don't want people to cry because I have a great life. So like please party and have a DJ. Like
I love that.
I don't want the Armenian the like traumatic
Yes, rip your hair out. No.
I'm like she was 90. Let's celebrate.
You want to die at 90? Oh my god.
But no, I'm just saying, like, sometimes I go to funerals, like,
Yeah.
for, like, RV funerals, and they're, like, 90-something, and the way they're crying, and I'm like,
Yes.
can we celebrate this person's life? Like, they
Yes.
made it till 90.
Absolutely.
My
I
dad
agree with
died at
that.
58. I'm like, let's celebrate
Wow,
this
that's-
90-year-old's life.
That's very young. Very young. One question.
Mhm.
If your dad was here,
Yeah.
what would you want to tell him?
Well, he's here. He's,
Well,
like, he sees everything.
What would you want to say? Yes, absolutely. What would you want
I'm
to tell?
sad that, like, my kids never got to meet him because my son
Really?
asks about him all the time. He's
Does
always
he?
asking. Yeah, I'm sad that my dad didn't get to meet them. My grandma died right before Colette was born. I'm sad she didn't get to meet her. They have
You
the
tell
same
them
zodiac
stories.
sign. Yeah, I do, and I have pictures, and you got to continue the legacy.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And I love how you are always keeping him alive.
Oh, you
like,
have to.
So positively.
But like
Yeah.
it took a long time to get to this point where I'm like
Yes, a lot of
celebrating all the stuff he taught me because I went through really dark times, depression, and the first year I was like I didn't even leave my house. I was like a hermit. It was awful. Just worked and went home and just like in severe depression. So
Oh my goodness.
you
Diana.
have to find like ways to get out of that place. And for me, like my spirituality practice and meditation and working with some of my cousins make fun of me, but I'm like, it works. Okay. Leave me, my shamans.
The
and healers.
meditation?
Well, they make fun of me because I'm like, like I hear about like a shaman because of Gwyneth Paltrow wrote about it in Goop. And I'm like, I need to be with them. But, like,
Shamans?
like I actually reached out to Sadhguru's team. I'm like, let's do this. Like, how do we
Yes.
get there? But,
I love you.
like, how do I get to Nepal? Like,
I love how you just casually. I reached out to Sadhguru.
I did reach out to these people. I got the contact from somebody that knows them. And I was like, I need to go to Nepal. How do we do this? So, but it works for me. Find
does.
what works for you. Maybe someone's an artist and they just create paintings out of their sadness. I don't know. Like someone likes to run, go do a marathon. I have no idea. For me, like meditation's really helped me. It's a part of my life toolbox. So I recommend people to like sit there and figure out what works for them.
What type of meditations are you into? What's one that works for you? Because there's so many different kinds.
I mean, I do it all, to be honest. I work with so many people. But if I do it at home, I'll just go on YouTube and do a HC
Yes.
beta like meditation that like feels right for the second. There's other ones people have sent me. And sometimes I just sit there quiet and I go into my
that's
own
the
place.
best.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Diana.
Oh, anytime.
I appreciate it. I'm so honored that you're here today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You guys, it was such a good conversation. And I hope that people got to see a more personal
Yes.
side of you. Thank you for
think,
sharing
like,
about your
just
dad,
talking
Diana.
to you anytime. I just think like talking to you if people are listening, like what's the summary, Cliff Notes is like just focus on you.
Yeah.
That's it. Focus on you and
Damn.
just be
Yeah.
focused on your goals. Don't
Yes.
look at
Be
what's happening
your
around you.
competitor, your own. It
I'm my
doesn't-
biggest competitor.
Yes. By the way, last question. Do you take criticism well or do you get offended when someone's criticizing you?
Depends on who's saying it.
Is it like a
if
safe person?
Like if I'm paying a consultant to tell me how to do something,
Mm-hmm.
and if I do something and they're like, you're doing this wrong, I'm
Mhm.
paying that person because they're knowledgeable.
Yeah.
But sometimes like random people will come up to me on the street and be like, I didn't like that you did that. Like you're too positive, or I didn't like, and I'm like, and I just, I can't react. So I'm just like, okay.
You're
and
too positive, really?
I've heard that before.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm like, you don't need to follow me.
Mm.
But yeah, I've heard some weird stuff. People come up to me on the street and say, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You learn. Those are experiences too. And
Yep.
I have learned to have empathy for people that are that way as well.
So important.
Yeah.
In this
like,
new world we live in, it's important.
I'm definitely not the type to hide. I'm very open and transparent, and I can come off incredibly strong. And I sometimes don't look to see if I know the person, or I'll say what I want to say. But I have learned throughout the years that not a lot of people are going to take that, because they have to feel safe with you in order to take that
Yeah.
criticism. So
I'm like,
that's something I
we
learned.
got things to do, places to go. No
Yeah,
time
Diana,
to-
that's gonna be like the headline of the pod. We got places
we
to
can
go,
places
things
we got
to
we
do.
gotta keep moving.
I love that, and we do have to keep moving. All right, well,
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.